Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Every single time, The leftist bots have received their operating system update. The new thing has been inserted, along with all the talking points. The new updated Democrat rhetoric package, patch 5.0.2023, all the leftist bots, all the leftist parrots, are all defaulting to the same ridiculous narrative. Any criticism, and especially valid criticism, targeted towards behavior of black men is automatically deemed not only racist, but a call to violence and endangering that individual's life. We saw the same thing on the streets of New York, those young men harassing that nurse over the city bike. Regardless who was in the right and who was in the wrong, regardless of the fact that the woman being harassed had the actual receipt, had purchased the bike first, the mere fact that she acted victimized and produced these supposed crocodile tears, she used her white privilege, demonizing the black men and putting their lives at risk. That was the literal narrative that leftoids were pushing. Well, here we go again, except this time, it's involving Marjorie Taylor Greene and Democrat Representative Jamal Bowman. Pointing out his constant, aggressive, threatening manner is somehow a racist dog whistle that's putting his life in danger. Let me fill you guys in on what's going on. The Democrat grift never ends. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright, so here's the TLDR. Marjorie Taylor Greene showed up in New York at some point where she was accosted by Jamal Bowman. I'll show the clips later. There's also another event that happened on the steps of the Capitol. Jamal Bowman does his typical leftist grift shtick, accusing Marjorie Taylor Greene of being a white supremacist and a QAnon supporter. MTG at some point addressed a situation where she said this:
I had to have so much security, there was not enough. I was swarmed. It's all on video. Everyone can see this. But I will tell you what's on video is Jamal Bowman shouting at the top of his lungs, cursing, calling me a calling me a white supremacist, which I take great offense to. That is like calling a person of color the N-word, which should never happen. Calling me a white supremacist is equal to that, and that is wrong. Jamal Bowman was down there cursing at me, telling me to get the F out of there, and he was leading the mob right outside the vehicle I was sitting in. We have this all on video. And then on the Capitol steps yesterday, he was the one that approached me. Even CNN reported that. Yelling, shouting, raising his voice. He has aggressive, his physical mannerisms are aggressive. And he just recently shoved Thomas Massey just outside the House chamber. I think there's a lot of concern about Jamal Bowman. So, and I am concerned about it. I feel threatened by him. He not only led a mob there, but his boisterous lies. And I'll tell you another thing he said outside there. He was saying, save your party. I kept telling him, no, save the country. It's not about political parties. We shouldn't care about political parties. We should care about the country, because no matter what our political beliefs are, Jamal Bowman, I don't know what his political beliefs are. I know what mine are, but we both swore an oath to serve the country here in Congress as representatives. So I am very concerned about Jamal Bowman, and he's someone that people should watch.
And the leftist sphere of the internet absolutely blew up. This was the typical take.
You know, I think Congressman Bowman said what needed to be said, which was this has been happening for decades, or perhaps even longer than that, centuries, where a white woman says something like, he feels threatening to me, he's harassing me. Yeah. And that can end in the death of a black man. And she knows that. So that was a dog whistle, it was a bullhorn, everything that he said.
She's putting his life in danger. Jamal Bowman responded with a very similar take.
Marjorie Taylor Greene in her press conference this morning said something incredibly dangerous and incredibly reckless about me, talking about my demeanor as being aggressive and saying that she feels intimidated by me. Unfortunately, this country has a history of characterizing black men who are outspoken, who stand their ground, and who push back as being threatening or intimidating. So she's not even using a dog whistle. She's using a bullhorn to put a target on my back to the people that she refers to as MAGA people out there who might want to cause harm.
Incredibly dangerous rhetoric, a dog whistle, bullhorns. Apparently pointing out the fact that Jamal Bowman is a racist dog whistle. Give me a frickin' break. Jamal Bowman, it's simply a statement of fact. Jamal Bowman is aggressive. Frankly, the guy is completely unhinged. Here's just a small sample.
Hey, hold up, get the hell out of here.
What inspired that today?
Jamal Bowman.
What inspired that today, Congressman?
I was born and raised in New York City. This is the city that I love. is a city focused on hard work and love for all people. We will never accept hateful rhetoric in our city. Any rhetoric that is divisive, any rhetoric that uplifts white supremacy, we are pushing back against that in all its forms. Marjorie Taylor Greene needs to take her ass back to Washington and do something about gun violence, do something about affordable housing, do something about childhood poverty, do something about climate change. Do your freaking job, Marjorie Taylor Greene. You think more guns lead to more death? More guns lead to more death. Look at the data. You're not looking at any data. You're carrying the water for the gun lobby.
He's literally the embodiment of what's wrong with modern political discourse. Completely unhinged and emotional, characterizing his political opponents as enemies, as dangerous threats to democracy, QAnon kooks and white supremacists. If anybody's endangering anyone with their rhetoric, first of all, it's Jamal Bowman, and not Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's a woman of clearly smaller stature than someone like Jamal Bowman who's 6'1", yelling in her face in aggressive manner, just like he did with Thomas Massie and many others. And while I don't necessarily agree that calling someone a white supremacist is akin to calling a person of color the N-word, I think they're two entirely different things, two separate categories entirely. I do believe labeling somebody a white supremacist without any evidence is arguably one of the most dangerous attack angles of the modern political era. You're putting a label on somebody, in almost every case incorrectly, that paints a target on their back. You're telling the entire world that this person is basically a KKK member. You know, that seems almost like an indirect call to violence. The idea that Marjorie Taylor Greene characterizing Jamal Bowman as threatening and intimidating puts him in danger is ridiculous. Calling somebody a literal white supremacist to your leftist fanatical radical base, the same base that justifies violence against quote fascists and white supremacists, well, that to me seems extremely destructive and divisive, first of all, but possibly endangering that person's existence in public life. And leftoids constantly do this. Here's an article literally just posted from the Vanity Fair. Report: Ron DeSantis will formally announce his 2024 bid with Elon Musk because apparently David Duke wasn't available. Absolutely disgusting. Not to mention all the recent instances of Republican lawmakers being attacked in public places. Remember what Rand Paul's neighbor did to him? Just one example of the many. Leftoids want to talk about incitement to violence and endangering people's lives as they continue to promote rhetoric like this.
I think there would be a huge backlash from our entire House Democratic, caucus, certainly the progressives, but also in the streets. I think that it's important that we don't take steps back from the very strong agenda that the president himself shepherded and led over the last 2 years.
If we don't get what we want, street violence is on the way is essentially what Pramila Jayapal just said. The level of hypocrisy is simply unbelievable, and these shameless accusations of racism, whether it's the constant labeling of being a white supremacist or pulling the race card, this ridiculous allegation of a racist dog whistle from Marjorie Taylor Greene, when it was a simple statement of fact that Jamal Bowman is an aggressive agitator, it's nothing but constant lies, constant hypocrisy, more division, in other words, typical Democrat behavior. That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you liked this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Of course, you know that we'd love to have you here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.